So let's expand on network insights and focus on network monitoring and how data transformation itself is changing and impacting performance and the ability to monitor what's going on in the internet. So I kind of asked this ambiguous question just to kind of raise an interest. Think to yourself and answer to yourself how many connected devices you actually have. That's at your home, that's at work, that's on your person. Um, I've done this for years on the security side for other reasons, but more so for the monitoring side. I personally have 12 connected devices in my home that are actively being used and connected right now. And the reason why I raise that question is we're utilizing these devices to perform certain tasks and duties. And because of these growing number of devices accessing applications on the internet, the complexity is growing as well as our dependency on that. So the expectations for continuity of service is being pushed and pushed and pushed from the consumer out to the organizations. And this type of demand usually exacerbates what's already an inconsistent internet. If you look at the security side of things, you could talk about BGP hijacks or DDoS attacks that are really flooding the network out and preventing access to the environment. But it could also be a misconfiguration that's creating those particular problems as well. And you really need to have a starting point to understand where those problems arise and what device is being used and what's potentially causing those. And when we've talked to some networking peers, the types of issues in monitoring those types of services and the proliferation of devices itself, we hear roughly four common themes. One is, the challenge is growing, and we just don't have the budget to keep up with this evolution, let alone maintaining the existing infrastructures and monitoring the existing infrastructures that we have today. Number two, tons of data is available to analyze, but when you utilize it through different systems, monitoring systems, data processing systems, data feeds, it's coming up with different information all the time. So the data is not as accurate as we wanted it to. Three, we still work as silos. There's NetOps, there's DevOps, there's SecOps, there's AIOps, there's all these different siloed organizations, and we don't use a standard set of tools across the board to have consistent data. And in many instances, it's really about the mean time to innocence, proving themselves that they're not the problem as opposed to addressing the actual problem itself. And then the most important one, when there is data to work from, there's a high rate of false positives associated with that. So even when you think you found the problem, the reality is it's not. So this creates a less than favorable impression of the IT organization, specifically the network operations team, whether it's really deserved or not. And traditional monitoring tools have only empowered those types of stereotypes because they've focused on infrastructure and applications that the organizations themselves own or manage directly. And these tools ignore internet services, cloud-based services, because they don't own them, and it actually ends up ignoring the user experience overall. So the problem, to really holistically take a look at it, is there's a significant number of things wrong, and then there's an explosion of those third-party infrastructure services and tools that are happening. Some of the newer services that you're most likely sitting in on sessions recently on is like multi-DNS, multi and hybrid cloud, multi-CDN. On the security side, SD-WAN and SASE are these newer technologies. And while these services are designed to improve operations and kind of increase and improve security postures, they come with a cost because each additional layer of the delivery chain adds that layer of complexity and introduces more visibility gaps, reducing the ability to understand how infrastructure health is affecting the user experience. So this really means that whenever there's a disruption in the delivery chain, you have to search multiple services, tools, and devices and connectivity locations to identify where the problem may or may not exist. So the more we move from the edge of a corporate environment and outward in the delivery chain, the bigger the challenge is to see and even control those performance outcomes. And a solution like Catchpoint is designed around the outside in. So taking a look at removing those external barriers of the performance chain and providing that visibility from the service that the user is accessing all the way to the internal device that the user is accessing it from. And I've mentioned our global monitoring network probably 3 times in this presentation. And what our global monitoring network would be considered about roughly 825 backbone broadband cloud, enterprise, last mile, and wireless points of presence. So it's an extensive, large node network globally located that gives us complete visibility to help our customers detect those less than optimal experiences from anywhere in real time. And this is one of our significant competitive differentiators out there with respect to the platform, is having this outside look of the internet into the organization helps us, or helps organizations rather, isolate visibility problems and performance issues associated with the different applications and services that they're utilizing or providing. And with our platform, we have the breadth of this global node network to provide a comprehensive level of visibility, regardless of where they're accessing the information or where the service itself is coming from. The digital services or network insights part of our platform focuses really on a core component of protocols: BGP monitoring, DNS monitoring, trace route monitoring, and endpoint monitoring. And these four make up the most critical components of performance and make up our network insights testing platform.
And before Zach moves on, is there an option for any kind of on-premises agent as well to add to your public monitoring nodes as well?
So we have two types of on-premise nodes. We have the end user node itself, which is more of an agent onto the device itself. And then we have what we call an enterprise node. And in most instances, those sit at the kind of the remote locations of offices so that you can look at the different distributed office environments and who's trying to access applications from those locations. Right. Zach, is there any more to that you'd like to respond to?
No, those are definitely the kind of general descriptions. The idea is we can get visibility from a user's device, or we can have a dedicated device deployed in a location of your choice, like a branch office, a data center, a cloud environment, that would act as the same as our public synthetic locations. So yes, we do have that capability.